Hey guys, back at it again with another quick repair. We got a 2009 Accord 4-cylinder automatic. Should be the same from I think it's 08 to 12 or 13. I can't remember. I think it's 08 to 12. It's this body style. So it's 4-cylinder. So what we're doing is a passenger side CV axle. So we've already got a new one over here. We're also going to be doing adjustable lower control arms in the rear to fix a negative camber issue. I'll probably put that on a second video. But yeah, we're doing on the passenger side. So the first thing we're going to do, let's get it jacked up and supported, and then get the wheel off. Then we'll start kind of get it tore down, kind of show you how to do it. Just try and make it quick and easy for you as possible. So let me go ahead, we'll get it jacked up and supported, and then we'll start disassembling. All right, so it's jacked up, supported, and I went ahead and pulled the wheel off. Loading up to our 19mm. So let's just get a quick overlook on it. You can tell this is actually an aftermarket axle. You can tell this has been replaced for this newer nut. Basically what we'll do, we're gonna have to we'll bend that tab up there. That's just to keep it from backing off. We'll bend that tab up. We'll unbolt that. A lot of these Hondas, the other end of the axle will actually go into the transmission housing. So that means you have to drain your fluid out before you pull the axle out. This one, on this K series, the passenger side, since the axle will be so long, it actually has an intermediate shaft, which is bolted here, intermediate shaft or jack shaft. So this part bolts to the back of the engine, and it goes into the transmission, and that's stationary, it stays there. So your axle will just come loose from there, from this point to here. That way you've got a nice, a much shorter CV axle than you would without running an intermediate shaft. So let's just look at it real quick. So just with my hand, see there's a lot of play and slop in this, and also your boot's busted here. And so anyway, a lot of grease there from slinging all the grease out. So actually, I didn't check the car before. The person that brought it to me told me that it needed the axle on this side. So anyway, I went ahead and got the part. So what we gotta do now, first thing we're gonna do is bend that tab out, and we'll get this busted off. I think it's gonna be a 36. Actually gonna be a 35. It's been a while since I've done one on one of these cars. I feel like in my mind it was a 36 originally. It could just be a 35 because it's aftermarket, or the factory one could have been 35 as well. I really can't remember. Okay, that broke loose. Okay, so basically probably what I'm gonna do is unbolt the lower ball joint, and I'm gonna unbolt where the strut bolts to the lower control arm. So unbolt the strut, that way that to allow this lower control arm to articulate down, and we'll undo this ball joint. That way we'll be able to probably pick this spindle up and pull the bottom of the spindle out enough to get the CV axle out. And while I'm at it, I'll probably go ahead and unbolt this, call this little wishbone, lower strut mount. Unbolt this from the strut, should just be one bolt. That way I can completely remove this. That way the axle will be able to come from out of there. So first we'll unbolt, take our castle nut, cotter pin loose, take our castle nut out, and then we'll get this wishbone out. Then we should be able to start getting the axle out. Okay, cotter pin out, we'll replace that with a new one. Let's go ahead and get this broke loose. Okay, that broke loose. 17 and a 17. Dead better. Okay, got the nut off the back. There's also, you can tell from your, maybe not, you might not be able to, but there's a sway bar end link on this side that I'm going to remove as well. I'll probably go ahead and get the strut mount unbolted first. 14 on our strut mount. That strut mount unbolted. Knock this bolt out. Okay. That. Mount I was talking about. So once we get all this broke loose, we'll be able to move that out of the way. So now we're gonna. Okay, the sway bar end link is a 14 as well. So we need to get that out of the way to allow our lower control arm to articulate down. Okay. Now that sway bar end link is released. Try not to don't want to bend up our dust shield. So let's see, a little bit of weight to help. I think it's already broke. Yep, there we go. All right. So now we got that broke loose. Okay. So now we've got our spindle loose from our lower control arm. So now we'll just take we'll get our also watch brake hose. Any wiring. Well, we got that out the way. Okay, see the axle's out the way. So now what we need to do, just like on traditional CV axles, there's a clip inside of that axle that's attaching it to where it is. So we'll get up under it and I'll wedge a pry bar up under there between the housing and the axle, and it's a little bit of force will be able to pop it loose to bypass that clip holding it in. What we're doing here, okay, so that's what we're gonna prise right here. Okay, we're gonna pry right there. I can't see what I'm looking at. I mean, I can't see what you're seeing, so hopefully you can see what I'm doing. So all I'm doing is just putting pressure between CV axle and this housing, or this jack shaft, intermediate shaft. I'm just gonna pull on it. Being a little more difficult than it should. All right, round two. So the pry bar method has always worked for me. Didn't work in this situation. Usually works really good, especially when you got the axle to go in straight into the transmission. Gives you a little bit of gap there, you can get that pry bar in there, pop it right out. not really the case with this going to that intermediate shaft. I think it's just a, yeah, it's a little bit different. But anyway, but then I got to think about it later on, and I feel like I have had some of these K-series ones on this side be difficult, but not this difficult. So anyway, end up having to get this CV axle puller adapter to go on my slide hammer. So got it from the parts stores. A rental is like 20 bucks, but I'm just gonna keep it in case I need it for something later. So anyway, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna slide this behind that axle and pull on it. Hopefully it'll come right on up out of there. We're about to see. About to see. Got a nice fit behind the shaft there. Okay, I'm gonna move you guys back so I don't hit you. Okay, man. That was still really annoying, but we got it out. So let's check it out. So, yep. Anyway, we got it out of there. So here's a look at what the stub looks like on that intermediate shaft. So I'm just gonna when I got stuff like this apart, I always just like to go ahead and check all the splines on everything, make sure it's good. Also, another thing I like to do is I always like to put a little bit of grease on these hub splines. Just so if you've ever had one stuck in here, they're a pain. So even though we're not in the area that's really prone for rusting vehicles, we're in the South, I always like to put a little bit on there just in case you have to service the vehicle in the future. It just makes it easier. And you don't have to worry about it sticking. But all right, so now we're gonna go ahead and reverse the process and get everything put back together. Okay, there we go. And you heard it click, so we know we got a good engagement. So now what we're doing is, like I said, I like to just light the grease. I'm gonna put it directly inside the hub here, just to make a little less mess. You don't need much. Again, this is optional. Okay. Start that. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and drop in our wishbone deal here, whatever you want to call it. Lower strut mount. Have that strut mount bolt finger tight. Ride down the control arm a little bit so that we can get our bolt in. We've got to seat our lower ball joint. So we're going to pick up on this. Okay. Put our lower nut on. Okay, so the lower ball joint, the spec is 58 to 65. So, I'm assuming the reason they give you a little variance there is because a lot of times if you torque the spec, the hole for the what am I trying to say? The hole for the cotter pin don't line up. So to give you a little window, that way if you need to tighten it up a little bit more. So we're gonna start at 58. Let's see what we got. 8, so we're at 58. Okay, it's 58. And our hole is basically lined up. It's so close that if I need to tighten a little bit, it still be within spec. Get a whole box of these cotter pins from Harbor Freight for probably $5 or $10 or something, but definitely worth having. I hate trying to reuse cotter pins. They're so cheap. Just replace them. So that's the way I like to do them. Everybody does it different. So get mine like that. Bottom one like that. That's how I like to do it. Do it how you like. As long as it's not able to move, then it works for me. All right, so next, this upper strut mount bolt. I'm gonna show you. I don't know if I showed you last time, but it's right here. Well, it's the lower strut mount, but it's the top of the strut mount. I'm gonna need to jack this up a little bit to fill that gap in right there. I'm gonna put a jack up under it, jack it up so that that's flush. Then we'll tighten that up. All right, now that gap's tightened up. So now we can torque it down to, that one's gonna be at 36 foot-pounds. Okay, so now we're doing the lower bolt here. Spec on that one is 47. I'm gonna just snug it up with this. I got this on a very low setting. That way I know I don't over torque it. Okay. Okay, we got that. Now our sway bar here bolts right here to our lower control arm. And I said earlier, there's a where you can put a Allen key in that stud if you need to. Keep it from turning. We'll see if we need it. Okay, 29. Only thing left to do is tighten up our axle nut. Just that one is. It's going to be a 36. Last one was a 35. Like I said, I thought that was because it was aftermarket. So that's something to remember, guys. A lot of times your aftermarket parts, fasteners won't be the exact same sizes. So this one torques to 242. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the impact, I'm going to snug it up. So now what I'll do is I'll come back and because you want to have this held solid. Don't depend on the transmission to try and do it. Since you got your brakes on, you can have somebody just get in there and hold the brakes down while you torque it. Or if you didn't have that option, you could take, a lot of times if it allows, you can take the center cap out of the wheel and basically bolt the wheel down, set the vehicle on the ground, and then through that access hole, you can torque the axle nut down. So either way, we're gonna, I'm gonna get it torqued. I'm just gonna get the wife to come out here and hold the brakes, and then I'll torque it down. And after I do that, then I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna show you how to just put a dimple in this so it doesn't loosen up. What I do now, I just like to take a center punch, put it right there. gonna do a blunt tip one. So now we can be assured there's no way that this is going to loosen up unintentionally. All right, we got everything torqued to spec. Got our wheels back on, and everything checked out good. So just keep in mind, it's for the passenger side. Now on the driver's side, there's not an intermediate shaft. The axle does go straight into the transmission housing. So that means you'll need to drain your fluid out, change out your axle, then reinstall. I recommend, if you have to do that, go ahead and change the output shaft seal on the transmission, because those are bad for leaking. So while you're in there, you got a part, go ahead and change that seal out. It's probably on about $5. It's not hard to do. Pull the old one out, put that one in, and that way when you put your axle in, you don't have to worry about it again. Then you're gonna have to, of course, top it back off with fluid, and then be good to go. So it's really not a hard job. Like I said, this axle was being stubborn getting out, so I just had to spend $20, get that adapter for my slide hammer. Then it wasn't a problem, but you know, hadn't needed it up till now, but now I got it for the future. But if you got any questions about anything, let me know, and hope this helps you out, and we'll see you on the next one. Appreciate it.